So, welcome to our annual Workplace Liaison Luncheon. Um, this won't come through the speakers. And I'm not a traditionally loud talker. So, if you can't hear me, just put up your hand and let me know, or move up. That's an option too. So my name is Daryl Yutzi, and I'm the current chair of the Workplace Liaison Council. It's great to see some familiar faces today, as well as some new ones. So it's a great opportunity for us to get together and celebrate the work that we do in our organizations. So the format of today will be pretty informal, so feel free to get up to the washroom, get some more food. I realize some of you might have to leave a bit early to catch a train or drive out back home. So please feel free to do what you have to do, and we all understand. And I believe you all have a copy of the agenda at your table, so we won't go through that in detail. But you'll see that we'll spend a little bit of time reviewing some of the results from the survey we sent out to workplace liaisons a couple months ago. We'll spend some time sharing some successes and challenges that you are experiencing in your workplace and in your role, as well as do a workplace liaison program update from the Workplace Liaison Council and some resources that Patty has available to all of us. And then we will do a prize draw for the RNAO free membership and a couple other prizes that Patty has put together for us, which is great. And please, there is a copy of the evaluation as well at each of your tables, so please make sure if you do have to head out a bit early that you take just a couple minutes to fill it out. And yes, Marva, thank you. The sign-in sheet, if you haven't had a chance to sign in, please do so, just so we can remember who all attended today. So before we actually get started, we just want to say a big thank you to all of you for joining us today, for those who will eventually be listening to this online, and for those who couldn't make it today as well. So the Workplace Liaison role is a pretty vital role within RNAO. You're the voice of RNAO out in your respective organizations. And just as an update, Patty pulled some numbers, and currently there's 142 workplace liaisons across Ontario, representing 127 organizations. So I believe those numbers are growing each year. Patty?
We always start fresh at the beginning of a membership year, so by the end of the membership year, we're usually closer to 200. Seems to be where we end up each fall, but we do start again at the beginning of the membership year. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, I just want to say a big thank you to Patty, Daniel, and their team for always supporting us. Yeah. I know anytime I've had a question, they're always quick to respond and provide the information, feedback back to us. So I know it's really helpful, and I'm sure I can speak for everyone here that of their support for you as well. So thank you. So it'll be good to just get a little bit of sense of who's in the room with us today. I'm sure many of you know each other, but there are probably some new faces as well. So we'll keep it pretty simple with just your name, the name of the organization you're a workplace liaison for. If you happen to be a student, you can list where you go to school. And maybe one thing you're hoping to take away from today's meeting. So that could be if you came with a particular question you would like answered, a new connection you were hoping to make today, an idea you wanted to bring forward for the Workplace Liaison program. Those are all possibilities. They're kind of endless. And if you're getting stuck on that question, no problem. Just let us know what brought you here today. I've had some time to think about this. It's probably only fair that I start. So my name is Daryl Yutzi. As I said earlier, I work at Elgin St. Thomas Public Health. And what I'm hoping to get out today is that The Workplace Liaison Council has a bit of a better idea of what they can do to support workplace liaisons across the province. So this mic, we all need to speak into it, so I will pass along so you guys can do your intros.
Hi, everyone. My name is Patricia Hogg. I work at the RNAO Home Office as a Membership and Services Coordinator, and part of my role is supporting the Workplace Liaisons, the Workplace Liaison Council, as well as our Membership Recruitment and Retention Committee. And something I'm hoping to take away from this meeting today is how to better serve you guys so that you can be more successful as workplace liaisons. So if you ever need anything, please know that I'm just a phone call or an email away.
Hi everyone, I'm Janet Hunt. I'm with Middlesex Elgin and I work at the Parkwood Institute as part of St. Joseph's Healthcare. I'm hoping to get some ideas on how to connect workplace liaisons around our city around our chapter with their chapter's executive and that workplace liaison role that's on the executive.
Hello, my name's Jennifer Flood. I work at Algoma Public Health, which is our main office is located in Sault Ste. Marie, so Northern Ontario, Northeast Ontario. I sit on the Workplace Liaison Council as the Region 11 representative. So I think what I would like to get from this meeting is just information about engagement, whether it be how to further engage workplace liaisons or just to further engage the nurses within our organization. So kind of that whole spectrum.
Hi everybody, my name is Erica. I'm a public health nurse with the Middlesex London Health Unit, and it's nice to actually meet somebody else from the same jurisdiction. And I just have to say ditto to everything everybody's already said. So.
Daniel Lau, Director of Membership and Services. I work with Patty at Home Office. What I like to do or take away is to hear more input and to hear ideas to help to grow the workplace liaison program and also to help with membership recruitment and retention.
My name is Becky Harbridge, and I'm the Workplace Liaison at the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit at our central office in Barrie. And I'm the most excited to learn some new strategies to breathe some life into the way that we're promoting RNAO in the workplace to recruit and retain members. So I'm excited to hear what others are doing in their workplaces and hopefully adapt some of those ideas in my own workplace.
I don't think the mic is working, so I can speak. I tend to have a very soft voice. Okay. My name is Cecilia. I'm a clinical nurse specialist at Toronto Rehab. So, yeah, I've been actually with the workplace as a workplace liaison for many years. So actually, I would like to, it's a good place to actually network with other workplace liaison and looking for engagement, strategies for staff engagement.
Thank you. I'm Romney Pirog. It isn't working at all. And I work at Kingston General Hospital in Kingston, Ontario. And we've now amalgamated with Hotel Deuce, so I'm workplace liaison for the Kingston Health Sciences Center is what we've called ourselves now. So I'm here just to learn from everybody because I've only been a workplace liaison for a couple of months, really. I was intern before, but now I'm officially. So I'm here really just to learn from everybody else. Okay, and then this way.
And just a reminder, this mic, it doesn't project through the speakers, but it does work for the camera. So if you can still hold it up to your nose.
My name is Andrea Aline. I work with the Central East CCAC, the Scarborough branch. And I'm hoping to take away something that will be able to help me in these challenging times with the Central East CCAC, with the transferring from CCAC to Lillins and so forth. So I'm hoping to hear and get some strategies to work with my colleagues.
Hi, my name is Piroshka Bata, and I work at Seneca College. Part-time, I teach cardiac patho and cardiac rehab. Then the other component, I supervise a health center for all the students for the whole college. And then I moonlight outside of there as a life coach and do some hypnosis and just help people out. And then depending on what I'm doing, sometimes I teach clinical for Nipissing University for the bridging program. What do I want to take away? I'm a workplace liaison for Seneca, and to look how to create more engagement and how to get people more involved. We have a challenge of having 4 or 5 campuses, so it is a bit of a challenge to get around, and they're all half an hour away from each other. So hopefully learn some strategies.
Hi, my name is Akua. I'm a new grad from Western University, and I currently work at Equity and Human Rights Services at Western. And I'm here to learn more about the Workplace Liaison Program as I head into clinical practice soon.
My name is Leanne Swans. I am a new grad from the Conestoga McMaster Collaborative Program. I'm currently going to be studying for my NCLEX, and same thing with Akua, just finding out a little more about the workplace liaison and how that impacts our RNAO and stuff.
Thank you. I'm Veronique Boskart. I work at I work at Schillinger Villages, which is a long-term care organization, and I work at Conestoga College and the University of Waterloo. I've been a workplace liaison for many years. I don't really know how long I've been a workplace liaison, but it's just kind of really neat to see, to hear what people are doing and hear some ideas and share some of practices with others. So thank you.
Paul-André Gauthier, I'm from Sudbury, and I'm workplace liaison now from the community because I get with the chapters involved in different healthcare institutions, and I'm informing them what is RNAO, and I'm meeting the 3 schools of nursing also.
Hi, I'm Anita Purdy. I work at St. Clair College in Chatham, which is affiliated with the University of Windsor. And I've been a workplace liaison for a couple years, but not really quite understood what that means. But I have done a lot of recruitment with the students, so that is one thing I've done a lot with. So I guess today I'm here to learn a little bit more about what my role actually is.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marva McCalla. I work at St. John's Rehab. I was also the co-chair of the Workplace Liaison. And I hope to take away, I guess, a few things. How am I, or get ideas from everyone of how they engage their co-workers, and how to promote the Workplace Liaison within the organization, and also how to get the support from within the organization. Thank you.
I'm Hilda Swirsky. I'm Hilda Swirsky, and I'm at Mount Sinai Hospital. I've been a workplace liaison for a long time. We have a very central spot for our RNAO information. So I can always post something, but I want ideas. Are there any other ideas to promote RNAO to members in the organization?
I'm Betty Oldershaw. I work at the Chatham-Kent Health Alliance in Chatham, Ontario, in professional practice there. And I've been a workplace liaison for a little while, and I'm kind of like what other people have said. It's, I'm not 100% sure what that role is. I think I can do a lot better, and I'm really looking forward to hearing some great ideas here from everyone else.
My name is Angela Cooper Brathwaite, and I work at the University of Ontario Institute of Technology on a part-time basis. And I just want to learn more about the program. We just, in my chapter, just nominated a new person to the role, and I would be able to pass on some strategies to help this chapter.
And I'm Marianne Cochran, and I work at, or faculty at UOIT Durham College, which is in Oshawa, so at the university. And I think I got myself in more trouble because I think I volunteered to be Region 8 rep in the council or something, so I need to find out more about that if I continue to fill that role or even start the role. And also, as I'm thinking and sitting here, I'm just taking for granted that most of my colleagues, and there's probably about 20 of us that teach in the nursing program, and maybe a few more that work at Campus Health there. But I just sort of take for granted that there are RNAO members, and I sort of really probably need to really check that out. And because I do know that some of our clinical instructors are not involved, so I should probably focus a little bit more on emphasizing the benefits for the clinical instructors and those new people that we do have coming on. Because I just realized one of my past graduates came back. She graduated in 10 or 11, and I asked her, she came back, she was interviewed for a job, which she got in the practical program. So yeah, there's the more nurses in that program I could tap into. And I just realized, oh, so how is, you still have your RNAO membership? And she said, no. And so I slapped her hand, and I said, okay, this is my number, and this is what you need to do and to register. And because I said, well, what are you doing for your PLP, your professional liability protection? And I guess because she works in a unionized hospital, maybe she thinks she's covered there. So I'm also hoping that we can maybe emphasize a little bit better how the PLP that is offered through RNAO membership is maybe more beneficial or tops up what, if you work in a unionized hospital, tops up maybe what the union covers and meets the expectations for PLP. So I'm just thinking along those lines.
So thank you, everyone. So now that we've kind of heard why we all kind of came here today, or what we're hoping to get out of it, keep that in mind, because coming up we will have an opportunity to kind of share more in depth about some ideas and challenges and kind of help each other out around some of those thoughts. I also want to point out that we do have copies of the terms of reference for the Workplace Liaison Council at the back of the room here for anyone who wants a copy to see what the role of the council is. And there is a copy of the agreement for being a workplace liaison, which helps to describe a little bit about what your role is as a workplace liaison. So both of those documents are located on that back table there. So just by a show of hands, who here remembers completing a workplace liaison survey about a couple months ago? Few of you? Okay. So maybe a few of you. Okay. So a few months ago at a Workplace Liaison Council meeting, we had some discussion about, one, for planning for this event, what should be kind of the main area of focus for discussion, and two, we just wanted to engage a little more with the workplace liaisons across the province to see what's going well, maybe what isn't going well, what are some opportunities for improvement within the program. So that was kind of the rationale for sending that survey. Overall, does anyone want to take a stab at what the response rate was for the survey? Okay, pretty good guess. 23%. So we had 33 workplace liaisons complete that survey. Remember on one of those previous slides, we currently have 142, right? So the response rate, not bad, right? Not great though, right? So that's also an opportunity for improvement to engage with the workplace liaisons. So we asked a number of questions on that survey. Due to time today, we won't have time to review the results of all of them. So we'll just focus on 3 of those questions today. And if you're interested in knowing the results of some of the other questions, we'd be happy, perhaps we could share it in an upcoming monthly newsletter as well. So the first question is, we want to ask workplace liaisons, do they feel supported by RNAO? In their role as workplace liaison, and as you can see, the vast majority said yes. So I think that really does speak to the role of Patty and her team. Meeting the requests and demands of workplace liaisons across the province. So do know if you do have questions, would like resources, that they are the key resource to go to. So for those looking for ideas, they're also the gatekeeper too of what's kind of going on in some of the other areas and what other workplace liaisons are doing. So they might also be a great resource to use if you want to bounce some ideas off of or what some other workplace liaisons are doing. The next question we're going to review is, so what activities have you engaged in at your organization as a workplace liaison? So respondents could choose more than one option here, but you can see the top three was distributing or posting printed materials, reading the monthly newsletters, or distributing the emails to their colleagues. So just by a quick glance at this, does anyone have any thoughts, or does anything jump out at you from this result? Just curious. Pardon? Oh, the membership event? Okay, that it's fairly small? Okay. Anything else that jumped out? Yes? Yes, so good question. I don't have a copy of the others in front of me. A couple of the others were around student engagement, I believe, so around orientation for new staff and students, I believe came up in that other category. Yes?
I'm just wondering, do some people have a designated spot? Like I know in our organization, the union has to have a designated board.
Yes.
That's maintained and they have a place to post that's common. So I'm just wondering if organizations have considered like a designated professional development board.
Yes.
Association board.
I believe so. That was included in some of the comments. For some of the printed materials, I believe that's where a lot of workplace liaisons post that information on some of those boards. But that's definitely a good option for people that are looking for some ideas in their workplace liaison or within your workplace. If you don't have a board currently, maybe that's something you could ask, to see if that's an option for your colleagues. Yes, Jen?
The one thing that the distributing emails was quite a large number, nearly 25%. And I'm just wondering a little bit more clarification which emails they're distributing, what are they forwarding. And I know within my organization, I'm sure there's other ones, when you're directing mass emails to people, there's certain rules and regulations. So how does that work? How do you get support? Do you have support? That sort of thing.
Should I be passing this mic around? Okay. Okay. So I'll be walking around a little more. So, yeah, it's a good question. So I would say when I looked at that response, I assumed that the emails were the ones coming from Patty, or the in the loop that, that the workplace liaisons would then be sharing with their nursing colleagues. But it could be other emails as well, for sure.
I think working in a large organization, it would be very hard to forward that email, I think, because first of all, it goes to all nurses, so that's not just RNs, or it goes to all of your staff in that unit. So maybe some people are able to circulate it just to the RNs that they work with on their unit. But going bigger is often harder, has regulations on it.
So yeah, that's a good point. I know at my workplace, what I did was I sent an email out to all the nurses to see, one, who is currently an RNAO member, because we don't have that list anymore. So I got a sense of that. And two, who is open to receiving emails on a monthly basis. So I pretty much had a response rate from everyone back that they were open to receiving the email updates. Even the ones that are currently RNAO members, because I think sometimes it might get sent to their home email and things like that, which could get, joined with so many other emails, right? Some might go right to the junk mail. It's hard to say. So that was a strategy that I tried, and it seemed to work out well. I got a pretty good response rate from all the RNs there. The one thing that, oh, yes?
One of the challenges I find with one of the challenge I find with emails is either the email bounce back, and is one of them, and not only that, there's so much competition with emails coming from home office that people are not reading anymore. So ours locally need to be read if you want the things. And sometimes now I have to put time sensitive at the beginning of the thing to make sure they read it, and I have to put answer requested. So when they read the header, then they have a queue, but I have to use it once in a while, because if it goes through too many times, people are not replying. And we end up having 2 or 3 emails to do the follow-ups, and then people get annoyed with us.
Yeah, it's a really good point.
I was just going to ask you, how often would you send that email out? Once a year then, to find out who's the member? Like, yeah?
Yes. Yeah, so I'll send it out once a year and update my list that way.
Okay.
So the one thing I guess that stood out to me when I saw these results was there's actually, I thought there was a fairly low percentage of people that was, one, reading the monthly Workplace Liaison newsletter. So only about a quarter of those Workplace Liaisons were reviewing the newsletter. Only about a quarter were distributing emails. And a little over a quarter was distributing printed materials. So that led me to believe, I wonder, one, is everyone here receive the monthly newsletter?
Yeah.
Okay. So is it a matter of time that either one reviewing it, or is it that is the content relevant? Are you looking for something else in terms of communication?
I find the newsletter very good. It's short, it's 2 pages, it's brief. I use the links that are embedded in them. It's easy to get the material that I need. They're good reminders. I don't think the monthly newsletter is too often. I find it very helpful. And I'm maybe suggesting that the quarter that read it are also the same quarter that are distributing it. So.
Getting the Workplace Liaison newsletter, just so you know. Okay. Yeah. I think it would be good thing to, when you meet monthly with your chapter. Oh. If you're with a chapter too, it'd be a nice thing to kind of review that newsletter, right? The main points, I guess, on it.
Just to provide a little bit of context for the newsletter, that it was actually the Workplace Liaisons that requested that newsletter as a resource for them. So it was born out of survey results from Workplace Liaisons, and that's how it was born. So, and I appreciate it very much. It's very helpful, and I copy and paste things and post them electronically on Facebook pages and slice and dice it in a number of different ways to use that information differently. So thank you for that.
This is probably a question that I probably am supposed to know the answer to, so I'm going to apologize now. But when we fill out our RNAO membership card, do we write down where we work? That's part of it, isn't it? So, it's optional to write that down? Okay. Because that would be really helpful to know who in my organization is an RNAO member, because we're not a big organization by any stretch of the imagination. We probably have 300 RNs, but I don't know who is an RNAO member and who isn't, so I can't send those emails out to them. And no matter what I do to try and promote RNAO, I don't know who to really target and to know who's a member, so I can get them to help me be the workplace liaison. So I don't know whether there's anything we can do about that. Probably not.
Forward emails to people at your workplace. Often workplace liaisons will have me forward things, but sharing that information, I don't believe we're allowed to do that, but I'll let Daniel speak to that.
Right. Okay, I think maybe going back to the original question is, okay, when we ask colleagues to fill out the application form, do we ask that question? It's something to give more thoughts to. The reason why we need to think about it is, the reason why we did not make it a mandatory question is, we don't want people to just stop there and say, oh, I don't want to tell you my workplace, and then they stop applying. So you have to trade off whether that is an essential enough information to collect. So that is, but we can think more about, okay, if we make it, well, I think the objective is for anyone applying to or renewing to very quickly finish the process to become a member. And maybe for those who have not provided, we can have a subsequent invitation. Hey, we don't know where you work. Maybe can you tell us? Rather than having it as a barrier.
One suggestion to deal with the problems we're having is, I know I'm on Facebook of RNAO, but most of the time it's job posting. And maybe we should have a separate RNAO job posting, RNAO workplace liaison, then we can encourage the people to all belong, because Facebook doesn't cost much money when you just create, Facebook workplace, Facebook job, and RNAO news. In that way, we separate these, and the people can go and click and select the ones who want to belong, because that will be much easier, because right now I'm not reading much of it because it's job, job, job. And often it's not RNs anymore.
Sorry, I just want to make a point of clarification with regards to finding out from Home Office who is an RNAO member, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think for confidentiality purposes, we can't tell the workplace liaisons who is a member, so that's why Daryl's kind of reach out to his staff. If they tell us, it's fine, but Home Office can't share that information for privacy. I guess the only potential piece would be if they register, I don't know, having like a check mark where they could say, we agree to sharing my registration with a workplace liaison if one so be at my organization. Not worded like that, but something like that.
And as Betty, as you were saying, you only have 200 or so nurses, RNs, an email to that nursing group to identify who you are and just ask them to step forward. It can either come directly from you, or what I've done with mine is exactly what Patty said. I wrote out the email, I sent it to her, and she sent it to other people within our organization.
Just another suggestion could be, instead of, because I can recognize sending out an email to a staff of 200 could be quite intimidating, especially if you're trying to see who's an RNAO member or not. You could try something like a survey that would collate the results for you. Just one of those quick online surveys. Couple questions: RNAO member, not. Would you like to receive emails? Yes, no. And it would actually tally the results for you and take that guesswork out of it. So that could be an option too for some of you with a large number of staff. Now, okay. And then we'll move on to the next survey question. So last question on this area.
I think one of the challenges for me is because we're such a big organization and I'm not on the same campus as where the nursing students are, for example, and I travel between them. It's the distance actually and time. And also because of confidentiality reasons, I can't just reach out because I don't know who's a member, who's not. So is there any way for the RNAO to email or send a notification to everyone in Ontario? These are the workplace liaisons for these places. Can that be done so that people know who we are versus us trying to do a search and rescue who RNAO members are? Just a different way of does that make sense?
So, okay. Well, in the spirit of trying to keep us on track, we'll move forward to the next question because I believe it might also spark some good discussion. Another question we asked in that survey was, do you think your role as a workplace liaison is valued and supported within your organization? And as you can see, there's pretty much 50-50. 51% said yes and 49% said no. Yeah, I had some thoughts on this, but what are your thoughts on this? Do you feel supported? And if you don't feel supported within your organization, maybe some thoughts on that. Any initial questions or thoughts?
So be brief. I feel very supported because of the role I've played before, and we're a smaller faculty, and the students are already all automatic members of NSO on a yearly basis through their ancillary fees. So yeah, I've been in everybody's face, I guess. So I'm yeah, I feel very supported. So, and it is very helpful to get the material from home office, and I can also say that I'll go around and I'll check, did you read your email? Because they're on the distribution list anyways, and so I'm always checking, did you get this email and did you read it?
I just want to say it's in our collective agreement that we have an RNAO representative on our Nursing Practice Council, and I was supported in actually coming too. So I just started being a liaison person as well, and was supported in coming to this.
That's great.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I'm a nursing practice council at work as well. I'm not an RNAO though. I represent the resource pool, but I've asked to be an RNAO eventually if, you know, someone else takes the spot I have. But they still are very supportive, and they actually bring all the brochures for me. I don't actually do any of that work. So it comes every time we have our meeting once a month, and then they also will give me time if I tell them ahead of time. I want just 15 minutes to tell them about our activities we're doing. Yeah, so they're very supportive.
Hi, my name is Andrea Eileen, and beside me is Laverne Smith. We're both workplace liaison for the Central East CCAC. And I'm one of the persons that fill out not being supported. I know I'm supported by head office. If I need anything for the workplace, I can always email Patty and I'll get it. But in the workplace, we do not get the support that we should get. And the main reason, I don't know if you've heard about the patient first and the ECHO report, so it has caused a lot of confusion in the workplace with CCAC and RNAO. So once it's anything about RNAO, we do not get the support. However, we continue to try, and one of the way that we have just started to do it now is if owner is doing something like coming up for Nurses Week, I will approach the owner's rep and ask how we can work together. So we may have a pizza lunch or something, and then at that time I can display my RNAO information and just say a little bit of something there. And of course, they will come and have the pizza and, you know, so forth.
And actually last year at our pizza luncheon, we had a prize for a membership prize for one of the staff. So somebody won it and they became a member, but nobody else was encouraged. So we have a real hard time trying to persuade other staff.
And welcome, Doris. Hello. Oh, no problem. Oh, we'll get back to you. Janet has a question.
I've always felt in my organization very well supported. However, I do hear from the chapters around Region 2 that some organizations aren't supporting nurses to attend their like the AGM or to be get some reimbursement or support for time off or anything like that for RNAO activities. So I wonder if, you know, like in those organizations, it might be very difficult to be a workplace liaison. Yep.
And my organization actually paid for me to come here, like because I'm a weekend worker, so they paid for, even though I'm not here Sunday, Monday, I was here Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they've paid for my weekend worker shifts, all 3 of them. Yeah.
The one question I had was, do you think there's any differences in terms of how a workplace liaison is valued and supported within the organization if the position is held with a frontline worker versus someone in a management or leadership role? So currently, that was one question I want to pose to you, because that could be perceived differently as well.
All right, I'll just build on that one, because I've been with RNAO through shift working and through a day job now, and I've been supported equally well. Now, I must admit, if I did something on my days off, they never paid me. But if it was a day that I was working, then they would give me that time off. Now that I'm on straight days, they will support that. So it hasn't mattered whether I was the political action or I was the president, or now that I've been the board member, they equally supported me. But I see the opposite in Stratford. That's where the Perth girls are from. They've been both on shift workers and straight time workers, and neither were supported to come to any events. So, and challenged then with handing out RNAO information because within their organization as well, because you know RNs, RPNs, they're all the same, and if you don't have a booth for RPNAO, then we're not going to give you a booth for RNAO. And then trying to get in touch with RPNAO to see, can you get a rep in this organization to go hand together, and they won't release the name to us, and it's kind of complicated. So.
Doris, would you like to say a few words?
I want to say a few words about what I just heard.
Okay.
Because the same issue is relevant for people to join the board of RNAO or people to join the assembly. And I think we need to think about some strategy to help organizations understand the value add for them of having you guys involved. Like how many of the CEOs, quite frankly, or presidents of your organizations get to see the minister, the opposition leader, the this, the that, and the other, like you guys got to see on Thursday evening, and then on Friday, Deborah Barnes from Ottawa Hospital, the chief nurse, couldn't believe. She said, "Are you real? That the premier opened to just a dialogue with the members?" I said, "Yes, lineups of people." Right? And I think that's the type of message that will be important, that your people understand, those that need to make those decisions, because yeah, sure is to cover 2 days or 3 days, whatever it is, or 10 days in the year if it's the board members to come, but they get way more than that by then being able to know what's happening, right? What can they push that is important for their organizations as a collective through us, and also to be in the know and to have someone that is in the know. So I want to tackle that piece and maybe do some marketing in a positive way with those with organizations in general. Yep. So take note. So to take some, that's fantastic. That please speak with them and send me a note and CC Josephine and Daniel. Because if we can have some quotes from some of them on the value add for them as CEOs, as presidents, as whatever, right? I think it will be very good. And I know, for example, in public health that will be the case, because David McEwan spoke with me on numerous times about that when he was the boss of Carroll, right? So, yeah. Bob Bell, I'm sure, can speak. He was the boss of Mary Ferguson Paré at the time, very supportive of, right? And he was here on Thursday. So I think, yeah, yes. I think someone wanted.
Has had through involvement with RNAO is also for the best practice guidelines. So when, you know, there's often this talk about what can I do to get involved with, so people will come to me and say, well, how do we get our falls committee working on the BPG for falls prevention, because we have had absolutely amazing results in our organization with fall prevention. So through the contacts that I have, well, that we all have, with RNAO, we're able to get our teams involved as opposed to individuals. So we have a process set up now with Heather McConnell that our team is doing a stakeholder review on it. Another positive that we got was, and I guess I just twist arms, or maybe I ask for things a little bit more often, but we are having a lot of issues with getting people to Toronto, getting away from the workplace, having that added time to go to workplace institutes. So I approached Heather, and now we're going to have a healthy workplace workshop in London, which is going to be really good for Region 1, Region 2, number 3 and 4, like we're all around there, so we can all do that 401 corridor. And that'll be on December 4th, first week of December, if anybody is interested. But those are little pluses. And then all the things about lab presentations, we have used them all over our region. You're allowed 1 or 2 a year, and that is totally free, and it benefits everybody within the organization. So there's a lot of things that are pretty standard that we can talk about as benefits from RNAO and your work in the department that are not all political. Our final benefit was, and the RNAO vision statement that we did, because my start time on the board, we were doing that, and all of a sudden we realized, well, I said, my workplace isn't in this work. Complex chronic care rehab areas we had missed that somehow, and it was but through me raising a question that we went to the door, went back. That being open to inclusion of everyone.
Let me build on what Janet said, and let me be very transparent that the policy, not political, the policy and the BPGs go hand by hand, and the politics gets actually included on that, and I will tell you how. So, for example, Nursing Week, we take your MPP to work to workplaces. Who do we choose? BPSOs. Hey, of course I will choose BPSOs first, because BPSOs are profiling the practice of nurses based on evidence. And the practice of nurses based on evidence produces better results for patients. So why would I take or tell Becky or tell any of you to take an MPP to I don't know where, when the BPSO really profiles more what we are doing and what RNAO is all about, evidence-based practice and evidence-based policy. So, right, they go together. Take another example, Toronto Public Health. Toronto Public Health asked RNAO, and Carol spoke about that publicly yesterday, that RNAO be involved, not through Carol, through RNAO because of the branding of RNAO, to push the issue of safe injection services, which we did, and we did en masse, right? Well, then it's not surprising that now we need to develop for not just Toronto Public Health, for the world, a VPG on safe injection services. So policy, and if you look at offload devices, started with VPGs. Well, it moved to an announcement by Eric Hoskins, and then Kathleen Wynne that gave us the dollar figure of offloading device, first in Canada, right? If you look at independent RN prescribing, it's a practice issue. It's a health policy issue of access. All three political parties, very vocal. Patrick Brown spoke about on Thursday at the AGM. Eric spoke, Dr. Hoskins spoke yesterday at the AGM. Kathleen Wynne spoke at the AGM on Friday. Like, these things are not delinked, and as nurses we need to understand that we are part of shaping healthy public policy. Nothing to be embarrassed about that. And politics, the act of politics, take your MPP to work, Queen's Park on the road, right? Queen's Park Day are about moving healthy public policy, both for practice and for purely policy issues, and that politics is a tool for that. You know, we'll see my micro. This was the power of Marianne, because I was mentioning the name of an institution, and all of a sudden the thing went off because it was Marianne saying, don't say the name of institutions. But nothing wrong to say name of institutions. We have fabulous partners in institutions, right? London Health Science, we may have discussed one issue, but on BPSOs, they're fantastic. And if you're talking Toronto Public Health Unit, a sample BPSO. Like across all sectors I can mention, you saw the long-term care institutions, right? The ones that graduated. Health organizations are partners of RNO in any of the sectors. So what will it take that they understand that having you in these meetings, having you in the Thursday opening ceremonies, on Friday during the AGM, on Saturday during this amazing panel, which by the way will be archived and open to the public thanks to Alci's department and Marianne, you know, is to the advantage of health organizations. How many organizations can organize a panel like that, right? So it's to their advantage, and we will take on with Daniel and with Marianne in communications and others to really put the plan to help them understand that. And Janet, thank you for telling me that your organization will do a quote if we ask, and others talk with yours, because the more the better, the more the better. And you will ask from Sinai. Here you go. What is it called? Alma Mater.
What really got me interested in joining the RNAO, because I've been a nurse for 19 years and I've only been in RNAO for a couple of years, was the fellowships, the RNAO fellowships. So I'd really like to see more awareness about the fellowships, because I don't, a lot of people even here haven't even heard of them. And it's really why my organization, I think, is so engaged in the RNAO. So I think because we do a lot of great work with that. It really helps our organization. So I just wanted to know if we were gonna not necessarily promote the fellowship, the fellows, but just promote the actual fellowship itself.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think we will promote it more than what is promoted, because we actually maxed out on, right? Every year we have a certain amount of fellowships that we can give, and we have 4 times the applications or more than we can take. So obviously there is quite a bit of promotion on that. So it's on the website, and when the deadline for application comes, we mention that. It's a bit like the NEI. If we start to promote more also the NEI, we are going to be just more inundated with. So it's not that we are not promoting, we are promoting, but it's not something that requires a huge boost on more promotion. But what we can do is, again, take quotes like what you're saying now and start to make the promotions maybe a bit more interesting, perhaps, to use, right? Interesting in what is it that has done for nurses and organizations. And we can link it again, Daniel, to organizations, what it has done to organizations, and use that both to promote the fellowships as well as to promote the support of you guys attending meetings, etc. So I appreciate that.
I think one thing that might be helpful is organizations, but also working with ONA. And so my collective agreement permits 5 days paid away from my work, provided that I hold an official RNAO position. That has not been defined, and so it's really at the manager's discretion how he or she defines official position. It's assumed that it's a board position, but the workplace liaison role is just as valuable, and so maybe some strategic work with ONA, not only to have it in some collective agreements, but perhaps in all, could continue to support the work with for RNAO.
Nurses to attend various events in the past. Again, it doesn't apply to management members, which is ours, so it's a much tougher sell if they're representing RNAO at some events, but that certainly. So our next section was around celebrating successes, discussing challenges, and sharing resources. I think we've already kind of touched on a lot of the challenges. We've certainly heard some around the membership lists, trying to get more support and value recognized within the organization. And there's some strategies. I know Patty was making a lot of notes on some things that, some actions for RNAO, home office. There might be some areas that the Workplace Liaison Council messaging and promotion. So, but there are a couple other areas that we wanted to open up some discussion for if you had some thoughts on. Recruitment and retention initiatives that have worked particularly well in your organization. I heard that at the beginning that's kind of an area of focus for some of you. If you've recently held an event that you've hosted, that again was a great opportunity to connect with some RNs in your organization and to promote RNAO. Some of the key challenges you are experiencing. If you have some new ideas that you want to share about the Workplace Liaison program in general. And if there's any particular resources or support that you either find useful or maybe not as useful, and or if you're looking for some additional resources or supports that you would like to use but don't currently have access to. It would be good, good to know for us as a Workplace Liaison Council as well as Home Office. So I would just ask if you do have some thoughts, if we want to kind of keep it to a couple minutes, and then we can ensure everyone has an opportunity to speak. Thanks.
I just had some 3 ideas come into mind as I'm listening to everyone, and I'm trying to think how I can reach out more. Maybe because I have a little bit more time to refocus on workplace liaison position now. But I thought of even now just sending out a thank you letter to the current members to say thank you for your continued membership in RNAO. And this is what occurred at like 3 or 4 bullets. This is what occurred at the AGM as a summary sort of thing. And then, or else a welcome letter to new members who I just understand, or welcome to RNAO. I just understand you've just got a membership. Did you know at the AGM, this is the 3 things that have happened. And then another letter of invitation. I'd like to invite you to become a member of RNAO. Could you please contact me, or could I contact you to explain things further? So I'm thinking 3 types of letters there, and then each one could put something of the summary of what happened at the AGM, emphasizing the political parties that, all political parties that showed up and the announcements that were made. And this is specifically saying in the thank you letter, this is what your membership is doing for you. This is what your membership dollars are going towards, speaking out for nursing and speaking out for health with that emphasis.
They said their ideas of what Doris was like did not match reality. They had all these ideas of what she was like, and they were just so impressed that, of course, you need to be impressed by her. But what they thought Doris was not at all. So,
What is it that they thought?
You were down to earth. You talked to
I
them.
always
you were
have been
very
all my life.
presentable, and they did not expect that. They thought someone because of the reputation of Arneo. And they have 365 pictures, moments in the life of the organization, and our picture is one of them, of the group, and it was the interprofessional team, so it was people, the whole team. They were so impressed, and it's at Bridgepoint and Mount Sinai, and so, of course, CEO of Arneo, so this is really a really high point. They were very impressed and never thought of joining Arneo before they met.
Let me tell you something to take it seriously and not, titles mean nothing. Even letters mean, well, but we should help people understand. I'm going to use Daniel Lau. Where did he go? Daniel Lau. I'm going to use Linda Aslam Stroud, and I told her yesterday before she left. And probably that's enough. And I'm not going to use myself. Daniel Lau, 2 or 3 weeks ago, said to me, out of the blue, really, like we were not talking about life. We were talking about work. And out of the blue, he looks and says, you know, if I was 10 years younger, I would become a nurse. I go, really, Daniel? You can still become a nurse. Yesterday, I shared this in the room. It's too bad Janet left. Okay, please tell Janet that I said this. Becky, when you see Janet? Well, she's not, unless she's invisible. Okay. I know. The dinner of the AGM, we always have a kind of let your hair down, your feet up, good laughter party in my office. I was going to say it looks like an office, the room they give me so I can do this thing. And I shared with some of the people that were sitting next to me the story. And Janet looked at Daniel and gave a brilliant answer. Veronique was there also. Said, Daniel, you do not need more letters. You have them. You were today with a lady at the table, another lady, and what you did without even asking her was nursing. You were there with one of our colleagues that was in distress, and what you did was nursing. I'm talking about you. And what you did was nursing. You do not need to be a nurse, you are a nurse, she said. I am saying that you gave a much better answer to Daniel yesterday night than my first reaction at Areneo when I said, well, you still can be, right? As if it's so easy. Linda Aslam Stroud, and I do not mind that this will be public and on tape because I have said this to her and I will say it again if I need. One day after a very important meeting at Areneo on important both policy and practice matters, she came to me during the break and said to me, in a very nice way, you know, Linda is always shh, right, like a bit like me. Shh. And she said with humility and very beautifully, Doris, I know I don't have the degrees that you have, and I respect them. But I know a lot from life experience, etc., etc., etc. And I said to Linda, Linda, please, do not ever tell me that again, because you know as much as me. And I said that to her on her way out again. Not everybody ought to have the RN degree to be a phenomenal human being. And I say that to all my senior management team, whether they want to become RNs or not. Not everybody needs to have the PhD and the post-PhD and the master. Life sometimes allows us, sometimes doesn't allow that. Sometimes we don't want that. Sometimes we don't need that to be a nowhere, right? The same goes with the titles for you to pass on to your colleagues, and when I come on Nursing Week, I will tell them. To be a CEO is nothing unless you use it for good things. The only reason I came to this position at Arenio, and in fact the only reason I became a director of nursing at Sinai, was to enable nurses in the practice arena, in the day-to-day intersection between nurses and patients, which that is clinical practice, to do the best they can do by having the resources they need to do that. Hence why I went to management, hence why I went to this position. So please, we need to help people demystify all these letters. Not that they're important, not that the fact that Angela got a PhD and sweated for it, or me and I sweated for it, not that that's not important. It is important, or that you are going through that, Becky. It's important because if we are doing this for a reason, and it's important in its period. And in a discipline like nursing, we need people that go on and on to study more. But the practice of nurses is at the bedside, street side, home care side. And that's the most important of all. Please tell them that. I saw, like, people get enamored with titles and positions. And although some of that might be very flattering, it actually, I don't want to say annoying because your colleagues are not annoying to me, as students are not annoying when they say, oh, women like from a museum. No, it does. When students tell me that they are going back to tell their colleagues, their friends, that they met Doris, I say, I'm not in a museum. My board is not in a museum, and if we are in a museum, go and ask the politicians if they think we are in a museum. They wish sometimes. But we are not, right? Let's help demystify this stuff. Let's help demystify this stuff, because it's good for nothing. Using it for making better lives for the people of this province, the country, and the world. The rest is insignificant if we don't do that. Whether it's about being in the board of Arenio, whether it's being the director of information technology at Arenio, whether it's whatever title. If it's not, because the best piece that I loved in this interview, how many years ago was that when you came? Like 29 years ago. we didn't have an IT department. Daniel will know because he was already at Arenio. And I felt like a horse that wants to run fast with the things being held, right? And that's why we created the department. The best that I like in this interview that I remember to this day is when LC said, I looked at what Arenio is doing, and it's doing so much amazing stuff, but it's not accessible to the public in a way that needs to be accessible to the public. He has helped us with us. This is, if not, we're not making an impact to what really matters, which is the life of the people we care for. Where is my leader here that is running the show? Take the mic from me, that we will be till 6 here.
And how are we for time?
Okay, I should speak to this.
Yeah.
And then we'll move
So does anyone have anything else to share around some challenges, other than the ones we've already kind of touched on today in your organization, or sir, some new ideas to pass along to those in the room? Or if you have some ideas that you would like the Workplace Liaison Council to address?
One of my biggest challenges was trying to recruit new members by hosting events, and I found that while that reached more people, it didn't generate more membership. What I have felt has generated more membership is to have one-on-one conversations with colleagues. And I think, as Marianne said, what seems to be the crucial factor is, what are you doing for PLP? And that seems to be when people say, well, if you've researched it, they don't want to do all that. Well, what's the difference between what's covered under my union and what's covered under LAP and LEAP and every other thing? They say, well, if you've researched it and you've been a long-standing member and you think it's important to have PLP through RNAO, then I think it's important. And I've actually got 3 new members in the last couple of months just by doing that one-on-one. And that's probably more than I've generated at hosting those events where there's relatively little people who show up, and even fewer who actually sign up to be members. So if you haven't already, I encourage you to use the membership form that's populated with your membership information as the recruiter on it. And there are rewards in place for you when you recruit new members too. So it just, creates the groundswell to keep the great work going at RNAO by recruiting new members and you being identified as having brought those members on board.
Has anyone had challenges with promoting RNAO in your workplace where the PLP has not been an area of focus? So if the nurses there don't, like if that's not their main concern or area of focus to sign up for RNAO, kind of get that driving selling point to the nurses, to them, given the availability and access of information and resources available to them without being a member. Does anyone want to have thoughts about that, or has anyone experienced that?
So for me, it's primarily to reach students, actually. So I do talk to a lot of the students that are at the campus that I teach at, and then I try to reach people at another campus, but it's a half an hour drive, so sometimes it's hard. It's through email, or I have actually asked someone else who is a member of RNAO but not as active, and I will email her and say, if you're at King campus, can you do this, 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 and then she'll email me back. And sometimes it takes a while to get that information. Now, primarily, I'm in touch with international students. Again, which is a challenge, but I give them all the lists of things that are beneficial. And by the way, I use as part of my teaching links to the best practice guidelines for the courses that I teach. So cultural competence, therapeutic relationships, anything to do with line. So I actually use RNAO as a teaching tool to say this is what we're doing and this is where it came from, and especially those who are new to the country. So it's a great way to also introduce them to what RNAO has done. And so that has been a great success. And then I tell them, oh, guess, because they all love their cell phones. Look, there's an app for, and I have this app. Do you guys have this app? And I actually make them get, exactly, it's for free. So in that way, I'm promoting is the usefulness of what the RNAO does, because the membership has a lot of benefits, but there's actual work that they can apply in their workplace once they're getting their job. So I've been doing that. I don't know how some of them, if they've signed up. I know one year I've handed out a whole pile of things. Whether that generated membership, I don't know. But I keep plugging. I tell them, make sure you put my name down. So that, because it's like I said, primarily students. My biggest challenge is distance. And the campus that has most of their nursing students is away, and I may not be able to get to that. So I need to engage more people who are at that campus. That's going to be my challenge. And if now that I know Patty can, formulate a letter that I send out to everyone that's there, then at least they know. And I actually, as I'm reading, I make notes of all the suggestions so that I can take it back. And we have a new chair now. So we didn't have an academic chair for quite a while. So that actually created a lot of problems because I really had no sort of communications. Things were, and new chairs and deans came in. So there was a shift, and that really creates a problem. So now I have real people in real positions that I can actually have a conversation with. So I'm hoping we'll get more engagement. But definitely thank you for all the suggestions, because I've made a list.
Two things that link to what you were saying and what Janet was saying on the BPGs. So the apps are for free. The order sets that we have, 75 of them that get embedded in EMRs, are for free for BPSOs. So we give them for free only to BPSOs, okay? So that's very important. Again, that augments both the issue of membership in RNAO, but also the issue of becoming a BPSO. The call for new BPSOs is coming out very soon, so be ready for that, yeah.
Sorry, I don't want to monopolize, but the other downfall that I find with membership is the accessibility of all the information from RNAO. So I will get people that say to me, well, why would I pay for membership when the benefit is I've got access to all of the BPGs, I got that on my app, I don't have to be a member to get it. Everyone's using them already, so I don't have to pay for that. But just saying that by paying your membership, and even if you don't go to any activities, you've got, and the PLP, they tell me doesn't matter to them, okay? But by adding your name to the numbers, you are increasing the size of the organization, and that adds another stamp to say we're not 40,000, we're 41, or we're 42,000, and one makes a difference. That's my only.
And there are huge discounts. So yes, we do the VPGs for free. Not we do them for free. We give them to everybody because it's to be shared. It's not to be hacked, not within Ontario, the country, or beyond. But for example, if you look at the many educational work that we do, some of that, the webinars are for free, but institutes, 40% discount. And many of the other events that we do educational, people get a lot, right? Lab, you cannot access lab. And yes, people can say, I don't care, but then when they have a problem, they all of a sudden care. And if you don't have lab, you know, at the time, tough luck, right? And there are many other things that are only for members. The journal, which is absolutely informative, award-winning journal, how many get that? That keep you informed. The In the Loop, that keeps you informed of what we are doing. The action alerts that keep pushing the issues. That's only members. So adding the voice absolutely is what we need to say, because I think nursing is at a level of sophistication that thought in itself should suffice, but if that doesn't suffice, remind them of all the other pieces.
Yeah. So I find even so distributing some of the, like In the Loop and things like that, which is, and the journal, which is sent out to the members. But as our roles as workplace liaisons, we're in a unique position to share a lot of that information with the non-members within our organization. So I know that's, you know, something I try to do and communicate those In the Loop emails to non-RNAO members as well, and try to post or talk about some of the, you know, interesting news articles in the journal as well when they're applicable. Does anyone incorporate RNAO as part of orientation within your organizations for new staff or with students coming into your organization? So that's one of the, another possibility or option that could be done when new students come on as part of their orientation to either their team, that you could kind of have a sit down with them part of that initial day, as well as with new staff. So that could also be a good strategy to try. It could be also a good opportunity to bring some of the printed materials and distribute to them at that point as well. And just see if they have any questions about RNAO, about kind of what the pulse is within the organization, kind of what are the upcoming initiatives taking place, because they might be starting new, new grad, might not be overly aware, or they might be coming from an organization where RNAO might not have been as present within. So those could be also a couple other strategies.
One of the things that I've done in the past is carry my RNAO dollars with me. So not so much this year, but as I've recruited, like I go to Western and I sign up like 100 students, and it all goes into my name, and I get $5 per student back. And Daniel would give it to me in hard cold cash, like it had RNAO, $5, like right on it. And so I went around, and that was the one thing I recruited Kathleen Wynn. I gave her daughter, I gave her, there's your $20. That's your membership. Here's the form that goes with it. And we've done that in bars around town here, where the nurses, when our servers recognized our RN pins, and they identified themselves as nursing students. And with one RN in our area, she had I'd be a member, but it costs too much. I said, here's $50. That's your first year, like half of it, like a little bit. So it was out, that cold hard cash was really good, Daniel. Like I used to just hand it out to people, because they can't spend it on cigarettes or booze, because it says RNAO dollars. No, that's what I mean. Like, like you always think when you. Well, you know, they argue on the street about giving $5 to the person who's begging because they'll use it for something inappropriate. Like, that's the argument you hear. And so, like, you can't spend it anywhere else but at RNAO. And if you want to pay for a BPG, then there's your money, or you pay for your membership. So that was a real kind of gimmick that I had, but I didn't get as many this year, or I didn't get any, I don't think. And it had an expiry date on all of them. That was another disadvantage. But there you go. I think I went past the expiry a few times.
Doris was one of the speakers at an event for Journey to the C-Suite, and it was specific for a women's network called Elevate from New York, and it was about business. But there was someone from banking, CEO of the Trillium Foundation, the Toronto Ombudsman, one of the PR firms, the CEO of that, and then Doris. And we had it was at Shaw Media. They sponsored it, plus some other events. And it was an amazing event, but Doris showed up with everybody had an RN pin by the end of the night. Everybody had a package of the best practice guides and BPSOs. Like, she brought whole books. She brought everything. So people were not even from nursing. They knew more about nursing by the end of the night. But it was and it was a really nice event because it was down to earth and it was very open, and people were completely impressed how the access they had to CEOs and that they were able to talk. But you brought all the stuff, and it was just, and people loved it. So whether people are in nursing or not, or in healthcare, their awareness grew from you bringing all that stuff.
Yeah,
so
we have increased the number of friends in nursing, which is a category that is for non-nurses, right? But when I go to nursing events, I don't ask who is an RNAO member anymore, as I don't ask who doesn't know BPGs, who does not know about BPGs. Like, it's a given that you know. Who is not an RNAO member, because then they need the forms. And then I say, by the end of the evening, given that you invited me to speak, by the end of the evening, save a stamp and give me the thing. And I actually bring them back to home office, then they need to remind me because I forget them in my purse. And they are 2 weeks in my purse until I remember that I need to take the forms. But that's the best way, right? Is on the spot become their courier, because it produces results like this.
And while the internet is great, having that piece of paper in your hand and give it back to me.
Yeah, in region 6 and 7 we did that. We got at least 10 people joining on the spot. Yeah.
So I think a lot of ideas have been shared and passed around today, and even though we didn't touch too much on the resources or supports we would like but don't have, I think we to support RNs to attend events like this. So perhaps that's something that we can continue to look at RNAO Home Office, as well as what the role of the Workplace Liaison Council could be in to get some messaging out within their organizations, perhaps to share with the management teams or the senior leaders within the organizations. So to kind of be that voice from within the organization.
Probably also need to connect, and probably actually senior management team. I can think, for example, of a twice a year in the loop type for the CEO of that organization or for the president, whatever title they have, with what RNAO has been up to, who is their workplace liaison, who is their board member if they have a board member at RNAO, etc., or elected. I think it will be very impactful, and it was brought at the AGM. And I appreciated that, and it's here, and I think we can do something definitely with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and perhaps maybe we could see if there's an opportunity to have a discussion they received, and if there's any learnings or new opportunities that came as a result, which could help inform.
Or the ones that are already supported, like some of you have said, to actually show them a bit of what is it that we will do, and that's that, you know, with that click with others, right? Yeah.
So
we will
this-
get into it.
Mhm. So we will move on. I realize we are nearing the end of the session, but we do have a couple more things we just wanted to talk about. One was the Workplace Liaison Award. Is everyone here familiar that this award exists? No? So this award has now been in place for 2 years. And for the past 2 years, there have been no nominations for this award. So we wanted to bring this discussion today to see maybe what are your thoughts on why that might be. Now, that's right. So, and right. So,
That's something that we need to market.
and so, yeah, so we had a little bit of discussion about this earlier today at the Membership Recruitment and Retention Committee meeting. And part of the issue is that workplace liaisons might be aware of this initiative, but it's the RNs, the general RNs aren't necessarily, like those are the ones that have to be targeted and being aware that this award exists, because then they're the ones that would nominate the workplace liaisons, right?
We very seldom would nominate ourselves for something.
Right, and it probably puts the workplace liaisons in an awkward position, I would imagine, to promote the award with their own staff. Right, so I'm going to assume that no one would probably feel overly comfortable doing that, right? So the promotion of it could likely come from some other means, and that's something that the Workplace Liaison Council could look at over the course of this year to see how we can promote this award maybe a little bit differently.
And I got just a question. Does that award, and this is my lack of memory, but we get a notification about all the awards that are potential for researchers and educators and that. Does the Workplace Liaison come in that list as well? Yeah. Okay, so it does go to all the members. Oh, sorry.
So that was just a little plug there about all the awards.
Form. And I can't recall when the notice for the call for nominations goes out, but maybe if there was more time beforehand. All I can remember, I've only got 2 weeks to think about something now. So maybe I'm missing them or whatever, but it just seems the deadlines are challenging. They take a lot of work.
Mary, I'm sorry, how much time would be good? Logistically, and we will make it happen. A month or 2?
Yes, definitely.
There is no reason why we couldn't do, there is nothing in the values of
A
policy.
remind, just.
So 2 months in advance. we should-
I'll just,
all
thank
the
you
work.
for that comment. I do send a teaser in the summer saying, get ready, they're gonna open in the fall.
And they open the first week of November, and then reminders go out bi-weekly until the deadline, and the deadline's in January. So,
There is 4 months.
But we do have a lot of emails, and some people do feel email
overload and those sorts of things. And of course, you're also busy, so I appreciate that. But if there are any recommendations, always, of course, let me know. And thank you.
We look at it differently and maybe look at it from the employer's perspective and maybe have RNAO reach out to the employer to say, are you aware that so-and-so is doing a great job as a workplace liaison? Could you consider nominating them for the great work that they're doing in your organization?
Not sure, because I think all the awards of RNAO
Have to be a member.
Sure, but Patty and Daniel will know. I think you need to be an RNAO member to nominate. If
Yes.
you're not, I'm pretty sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
2 years good standing.
Excuse me?
It's 2 years of good standing.
And that makes sense, right? Yeah.
Thank you for the idea.
So thank you for that. And there's another committee that's looking at the awards overall in terms of promotion, making the application process a little more clear for the nominators. So that'll be some work taking place this year from the membership recruitment and retention committee. So the other thing we just wanted to touch on is with the Workplace Liaison Council, there are currently still some vacancies for this year. They're listed there, Region 1, 3, 5, 9, and 12. So I'm not sure if any of you are representing those regions. But if you do, and if you are interested in joining the Workplace Liaison Council, or if you have any questions after today's meeting about some of the work that we'll be looking at over the course of the year, or please send Patty an email and we can connect. And the terms of reference are back there as well, so please feel free to take one. And the goal is really to have a rep from each region on the council to kind of feed that information up, and then vice versa, so we can feed that information down for each region throughout the workplace liaisons across the province. So we're still, we're still growing and still trying to figure out a clear path going forward in terms of how we can provide greater support to the Workplace Liaison Council, to the workplace liaisons across the province. Please do let us know. And Patty will be doing a call for nominations in June. So please watch for